Hi everyone, it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So today, friends, we are going to be working on two inserts that I have for my Project Life album. So this one is all about going to the zoo this past week of Project Life, week 18. I also went to the zoo with my friend Casey, her two girls, and my sweet mama. So I have a lot of pictures from this particular event, and this past week of Project Life was one of those where I had a lot of stuff going on. So in addition to the zoo, we also had Penny's birthday. We had one of Casey's daughter's birthdays, and I went to her birthday party. I was working on Casey's album and had a photo of that to document, spending a lot of time during the week working on her album, all that kind of stuff. So I thought that instead of trying to fit everything into the one spread, I would do an insert. So that's what we're going to work on first. And then the second one is going to be all about the movies that me and Will have been watching. And that one is one of those inserts that's taken a while to work on. So we'll get to that as we go. For the first one, this one's just very upfront, straightforward. I'm using a pocket page. I actually cut down the regular 12 by 12 pocket page that I always use that has the 6 4x6 pockets. And so this one, I just cut it down so that we have 3 4x6 pockets, and we're just adding things in just like we would any regular Project Life kind of day. So this was a really fun little trip to the zoo. Unfortunately, we didn't get to spend as much time there as we wanted because my mom also had an appointment afterwards, but we had a great time. It was so fun getting to see the girls and see Casey. And actually, my mom, she hadn't seen little Mickey since she was a month old, and she was just about to turn 1 in these photos. So it was really cool that my mom got to see her and Andy, and we got to hang out. It was a beautiful day, the very, very end of April, and we just had a lot of fun. And of course, we had to take a ton of photos. So I definitely wanted these to be documented in my album. So all I've done so far is I already had my pictures printed and cut out, of course. So then I just looked through my Project Life cards just like I would for a regular spread. So there's a different mix of cards. Several are from Ellie Studio, the majority, but that Let's Have Some Fun is not. So I don't know if that's Studio Calico or where that's from. It looks like Studio Calico to me, but I grabbed that one out as well. So I'm just trying to make everything work here. And then, of course, just like I always do, I take the pieces of regular computer paper and add my 3x4 cards on top of it just to keep them snug into the pockets. So now I'm going to add in my journaling and add in all my bits and pieces to complete this spread. Super easy. This one is just really straightforward, very obvious type spread here, but I love adding in all of these little inserts. So, maybe last year I might have even done more of like a spread, like a 12 by 12 spread for this, like a layout. But this year, I've just been way more into the inserts. And like I mentioned in my last video, I just love all the different pocket sizes, like the different page sizes. I think it's fun to flip through, and I have all my big 12 by 12 regular weekly spreads, but then I love having these 6 by 12 inserts with the pockets. The next page that we're going to do is a 6 by 12 insert that's more of a layout. Then I'm also doing 6 by 8 pages or larger photos, and I've just been having a blast adding different things in there, and I just think that it's really fun. Oh, so I made a mistake here, which I was kind of bummed about because I did not have an extra one of that particular LA Studio card. I must have used my other one at some point, but I was using the wrong pen. And I know I have some pen people out there and you will understand, but I was using the wrong pen. I always use a Pilot G2. I love that pen, but the pen size that I prefer is a point, I don't know if it's a 0.38 or if it's just a 38, but I think it's just 0.38. That's what I prefer, but I do have a few 0.05s put in there, put into my stash, but really the 0.38 is the size that I love, and it's like the perfect size for me. That 0.05 is just a little too fat, and I could tell as I was writing, it just felt wrong. and I realized, oh, I used the wrong pen. And yes, many people could just move on from that. But for me, I just don't like the way that it looks. So I had to move on and find another card. I did find another card from Ellie Studio that said unplug and recharge, enjoying this moment, which I thought worked out pretty well. And I liked the green. So that's why I wanted to add it. The other card had a pop of green. This one had a pop of green. So I felt like it still worked out pretty well. So there you'll see that I did punch out a few of my tiny gold stars that I love to add onto my pages. I haven't really been adding them on many spreads lately, but I used them a ton in Casey's album that I was working on. So it got me kind of wanting to use them in here a little bit. So I just have a star punch that I got off of Amazon. It's just like a hand punch. And then I also just buy gold glitter paper from Amazon and just punch them right out. So there you have that. And then here I'm going to add on just a little bit more journaling, but I was looking for a couple embellishments because I knew that this middle 3x4 card here, I wasn't going to add journaling to that one. So at this point, I was just trying to figure out, was it just going to add embellishments? Was I going to stamp something? What was I going to do? So up here on this top card, I am going to add a little bit more journaling about our day, and then we'll move on to the next one and we'll be done. So this particular spread goes by really fast, but it does feel really good to have that completed. So you'll have to let me know in your album if you do some form of project life or chronological monthly scrapbooking or whatever. What is your typical like go to? Like for me, every week, as y'all know, I do one 12 by 12 spread. Every now and then I'll add in an insert like this, or I will add in maybe a double page spread if I have like a really big week. But for the most part, I do a 12 by 12 spread. So I would love to know if you do some form of this, what's your kind of typical thing? Do you do one spread? Do you do a double spread every week? What size do you do? 12 by 12, 9 by 12, 6 by 12, or 6 by 8? Like what is your kind of thing? I would love to know. There's so many different options, and I don't know. I love the 12 by 12. I have thought about doing a 9 by 12, which is what I did originally in 2018 and 2019 when I first started Project Life. But what I didn't like about it, I didn't feel like I had enough room, but that was because I only did a 1-page spread every week. And I thought if I did a double page 9 by 12 spread, maybe I would try that. But I'm such a 12 by 12 girly. I just have loved it so much ever since I've started using it, and I can fit everything in there. And I do really like the 12 by 12. So just thoughts, for a different day. I'm definitely still going to continue the 12 by 12 for the rest of this year at least. But I'm always just kind of interested in what works for other people and what you find the best. So just curious. So here I did just go ahead and stamp Zoo Day. I added a few more of those gold stars, and now I'm just adhering everything back to back so that everything fits really nicely into the pockets, trimming everything up. And then there you have it. This spread is complete. Oh, I lied. I have one more tiny thing that I wanted to do. So just like with Allie Edwards and her spreads years and years ago, whenever she talked about the Avery index tabs and adding them onto her spreads, I had to grab those immediately. So I have them in all kinds of sizes, the really long ones, the kind of standard, maybe like 1.5 inch or something. And then these are the little small ones. And these are actually the only ones that I have left because I used a ton in Casey's album as well. So I love adding these. I added a little small phrase stamp to complete the tab. It says fun times. I'm taking the little adhesive pieces off, and it's just fun. It kind of notates that there is a page to turn in your album, and it's also just kind of a good time to add a little tab on there. So here I'll show you up close of how the pages turned out, and then we will move on to my second insert that I needed to complete. And like I said earlier, it is all about movies. So this one I was really excited to work on. So as you guys may know, if you follow along on my channel, I think I might have showed this particular spread before, the one that's completed. I'm unsure. But I did originally think. So let me back up. Back up. Okay. So me and Will decided this year that we were going to try to watch more movies. Neither one of us have seen like a ton of movies that people will talk about all the time. So we decided that we wanted to try to watch more. So we each made a list of movies that we wanted to watch. And then, of course, me, the scrapbooker in me, had to document them. So originally, I thought that I would document them in a little notebook, which I did share a video over here of me documenting like the first 5 movies that you're seeing there on that already completed layout there. And I completed them in the notebook. Well, then as I started just living life and moving on, I thought, you know what? I don't think I want them in a notebook. I think I want them in my Project Life album so that I don't have to reach for a notebook to see what movies we watch, but I could just have it incorporated into my album so then I could see the movies as I'm flipping through my album at the end of the year or whatever. And so I really like that. So I honestly took most of the same ideas from the spreads that I was doing in that notebook, but incorporated them into a 6x12 spread. And I'm documenting 5 movies on each spread, and it's been really fun. So I've been kind of just collecting these movies over time. So I finally had 5 more movies that I could document. So I was really excited to get to do another 6x8 spread here, documenting the next 5 movies on our list. So as you can see, all I do is I just have a white piece of cardstock that's cut down to 6x12. I do add a little colorful strip of just random pattern paper down the side, and that's just to give it a little bit of a color pop. Then I printed off all my movie posters at a 1.5 by 2 inch rectangle. Then also I went on Google and I just typed in each movie, and then I would save the little blurb that pops up about the movie. So it would kind of tell a little bit about each movie. And I printed that out on sticker paper, on my clear sticker paper. And I printed off really, really small, but I just wanted like a little something there just to give the vibe of each movie. Then you'll see that I added on my little ratings stickers underneath it, and I put mine and Will's ratings. And then at the top of each movie, I put a icon, like an emoji kind of smiley face icon stamp along with the year that the movie came out. And that's just totally for fun. Those icon stamps came from Ellie's Studio, I believe. They're a little bit older, like I don't remember when I got them, but they're probably a year old or more. And then the other stamps that I'm using for the numbers, those are the Honey and Spice stamp set from Heidi Swapp. Again, not sure if that is still available. I've had those for a very long time. And then the numbers that I'm using for each of the dates, those are, of course, my Sophie Alpha stamps from Citrus Twist, my number 1 favorite stamps ever. So I have 2 sets of those because I'm scared that I'm going to lose some. So I have 2 sets and I love them so much. So here I'm just putting everything into place. And while I do that, I'll quickly tell you what movies that we watched. So we've actually been watching these since February. So the previous set of movies over there, the 6 through 10, we ended those in February. And then right after those movies, we did watch Batman from 1989. That was my pick, which was really good. Loved it. Never seen it before, and Will hadn't seen it either. So that was a super good one. Then we took a little bit of a break because we were watching Severance. So we weren't really watching movies for a while. So that was the only movie that I had that one was in February. But then we watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which was Will's pick, and that one was the only movie that we watched in March together. Then in April, we watched The Goonies, and then, which was my pick, which I have seen The Goonies. I don't think Will had. Neither one of us had seen Monty Python. I have seen The Goonies as a kid, but I didn't really remember it. So I am including, we each have a few of those on our list. I mean, the majority of them on our list, we've never seen at all, but there's a few scattered in there where maybe we have seen it, one or the other has seen it, but it's so long ago that we really don't remember it. We could use a refresher. So that's how The Goonies was, and that was really fun. Then after that, we watched, still in April, we watched Spaceballs. That was Will's. So you can see he kind of likes those parody funny movies. We've watched Airplane, Monty Python, Spaceballs. I think that's it. But we've watched several of those. I liked that one. I love Star Wars, and so does Will. So it was pretty good. And then my pick was Bottle Rocket, which was the first Wes Anderson movie. So in addition to our list of movies that we made at the beginning of the year, we also wanted to watch all of the Wes Anderson movies in order. And that was kind of a thing we wanted to do here over the summer. So that was the first one. So we went ahead and watched that one. So if we don't want to pick anything specific off of either one of our list, we'll watch one of those. And actually, we watched one other one, and that was Rushmore, which is the second one in the Wes Anderson movies. So we're kind of into those right now. So we might watch those for a little while. So you can see I have most things into place. I also just used my regular little roller date stamp, and I stamped the date of each movie that I watched. And if you're wondering how I keep all this straight, I have been loving, like borderline obsessed with the app Letterboxd. It's so much fun. You can add friends on there and see what movies they're watching, and that's really fun. But it's a great way to keep up with movies that you are watching, and it tracks everything. So as you add your movies in there, you can add your rating, so then I can remember that. You can add, it automatically does the date that you watch it, so I can remember that, stuff like that. So it was a really easy way, sort of like whenever I would do my reading journal and I would check Goodreads, doing this one and being able to check Letterboxd is a great way to get that information. So here I'm just doing my little stamping for each of the dates. I kind of realized I could batch it here. So now I'm doing like 19. And then I messed up. Luckily, this worked out because I messed up on Spaceballs and I stamped a 9 instead of an 8, but you couldn't even tell. So luckily that wasn't too big of a flub up. I didn't realize I also had Rushmore written on my little sheet, and that one will be number 16 on the next page. So I was getting the dates a little mixed up there. So the only other thing I have to do, I think, is just I handwrite a little L and a little W by each of the ratings to keep those in track. And I'm sorry that you're seeing such a wonderful up close of my head. But yeah, I think that is it. So I'm going to give you a little up close look at that page. And then I do grab my mild liner, my yellow mild liner, and I fill in a few of those that say like 3 stars are really 3.5. So I fill that in at the very end. But besides that, friends, we are done. So thank you so much for coming along with me and working on these inserts today. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give me a like and please also consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, y'all.